Today we're going to be talking about 5 techniques that you can use to land a job in information security. Coming up. The information security industry has a lot of opportunity and it's a well-paying industry. So getting a job in information security can be quite rewarding, but it can be challenging. So today we're going to talk about these 5 tips that I thought might help you get a job in Infosec. The first tip is networking, and it's probably the most important tip if I had to really prioritize them. Sadly, the reality is it's not always what you know, but it's also who you know. So some opportunities are never even published or made available because when a IT department or an information security office has an opening or they get some funding and some budget to fill a role, the people in the office may already know of a candidate who's looking for a job or is looking to transition in, and they make it available to them. So networking is absolutely critical, and it gives you more value than just having an inside track on a job opportunity. It also allows you to, build a social network professionally that, you might have skills that you don't necessarily excel at, but you know people in the industry who do that. For example, I'm not a forensics investigator of any expertise, but I do know a couple people that if I had a certain case or a certain situation, I would absolutely call them first and foremost. So networking is important. Now, how do you do networking well? Well, the information security community is awesome. And there are all sorts of conferences, there are all sorts of clubs, there's all sorts of communities around, if you go on Twitter, which can be a cesspool sometimes, but there's a really good information security community on the Twitter space, but I really want to focus on conferences first. Now, Black Hat and DEF CON, those are major conferences in the industry, and Black Hat, for example, is fairly expensive to go to, so a couple $1,000, so it may not be right. But what I would encourage you to do is go online and Google and type in B-Sides, B-S-I-D-E-S, B-Sides, and then whatever the nearest city is to you, or even B-Sides in your state, and it'll probably come up. B-Sides are kind of organic, grassroots-driven security conferences that have kind of a similar feel, but they're independently managed at that level. So you could have B-Sides Austin, B-Sides Kansas City, B-Sides Boston, B-Sides Poughkeepsie. It doesn't have to be a major city. It's just an area that has security professionals who want to get together. It's usually an annual conference. Now, they're almost always free to attend. There's usually great talks, and there's good networking going on. So I would encourage you incredibly to get out and go to these conferences, because they'll help you understand the field a little bit better and see what kind of opportunities are out there, but also the networking capability. Also, I might mention, a lot of times these conferences, not just B-Sides, but security conferences in general, will hand out bracelets or name badges or something that literally you can opt into that says, I'm hiring. So if I have 2 open slots on my team and I can't find any candidates or whatever, I'll throw that on at a conference. Now, here's the thing. The people who are going to the conference are making the effort to get more informed on information security and be part of that community. So I'm already indicated just by them being there that they are interested in it, and it's not just a job. So I'm more likely to want to talk to them about employment opportunities and things like that. So security conferences are absolutely huge in networking by means of that. Now, I do want to bring up a point. It is December right now. SANS Institute puts on the Holiday Hack Challenge, and this is one of my tips later, but the Holiday Hack Challenge also includes KringleCon, which is a virtual security conference. Again, it's absolutely free to attend. I'll put a link in the show notes below, but if you Google KringleCon, it'll come up. And this virtual security conference has some of the top people in the industry giving 20-minute talks, kind of security TED Talks, if you will. But it's a lot of the SANS Institute faculty, which is just really, really good people. John Strand, Ed Skudis, Dave Kennedy. These type of individuals are kind of front runners in our industry and, celebrities basically. So it's a great resource. Now, you won't get any networking really there, but you will get a ton of great information. Now, my second tip is fixing up your LinkedIn profile. Now, I am not a paid spokesman for LinkedIn. I don't pay for the service, but I will tell you it's basically the de facto industry standard for a virtual or where your resume is hosted in business cards. So I will tell you, when you drop a resume in for a position, it would not be uncommon for someone to go onto LinkedIn and type in your name and see kind of like what your background is, and if someone's recommended you or if you got any information, because it really is an online resume. Having said that, take a minute. This is the same or equivalent of updating your resume. If your profile picture, for example, is a fuzzy grainy background and it's like a group of people, you've just cropped yourself out so there's like a random hand sticking over here, just take a better picture. Like, this is supposed to be your business presence. You're basically selling yourself when you go into an interview. So just improve the picture. Now, another tip with your LinkedIn profile, if your email address that you're going to be using for contact and stuff like that is Mario Kart champ at AOL.com or something like that. Nothing against AOL, but that is not a professional email address. So email is free. There's tons of services. You can get paid services as well. But the point is, why not first name, last name, or first initial last name, or whatever it is, just something that is business appropriate and wouldn't get you weeded out, because it would stink, and it's unfortunate to be qualified but not even get in front of the interview panel because your email address is smokesweed420@gmail. Like, you're gonna get filtered out. I'm telling you right now. So don't do that. So spend a few minutes and clean up your LinkedIn profile and your resume for that matter, because essentially they're one and the same. My third tip: if you are having challenges getting an information security job, like you've been interviewing or what, and it's just not working, or you can't find jobs, take some time and consider focusing on a target job or target industry. The purpose of this is to allow you to, basically spend your efforts, instead of trying to be a jack of all trades, kind of, you can have some focus. So for example, I work in the healthcare industry. Say there was a huge healthcare system or a hospital or something within your area that you might be thinking about going to apply. Well, take some time and learn HIPAA privacy and security rule. Maybe get a healthcare information security related certification or do some education. What this will do for you is, obviously it's a resume pattern, which is great, but when someone is looking at your resume, you will stand out and be elevated over other candidates of a similar resume and background, because you have specific industry knowledge that can be leveraged by that organization. Also, you may want to target an ideal job. Now, the U.S. Bureau of Labor, which I'll link to the show notes below, actually has like a really great resource, and you can see different jobs and what the average salary is, what the growth potential is, what actually that job does, like what a common experience of that job is. Really, really good resource. So instead of just assuming you know what information security is and what an Infosec analyst does, the information security field is huge. I mean, there are tons and tons of different types of jobs and entry-level jobs. It's not just for the senior level people. You could be a blue team or a defender. You could be a red team or a pen tester. You could be offensive, in the red team space. You could be a digital forensics person. You could be an analyst. You could be governance, risk, compliance. You could be an auditor. You could be a secure software coder. You could be a web app tester. I mean, there are so many avenues you can take in information security. It's not just resetting passwords or whatever it is. So check out that site. If there's a job that really interests you, industry agnostic, take some time and learn some skills. So let's just use digital forensics, for example. That is a niche skill, but it's really, really cool, and it's a lot of fun. If you like doing investigation and uncovering things and solving puzzles, it's cool for you. Well, there are really a couple different main tools that are used across the industry. So maybe download FTK and play with it and see what it's like and mess with it, and then put it on your resume that you've done labs with FTK. By doing that, you're demonstrating A, initiative and proactivity, B, you're demonstrating that you have the hard skill of actually using that tool, and C, you're showing that you are focused and interested in that. So that's just really a good tip, and it just takes your own time investment and commitment to wanting to either learn that skill, go towards that job role, or into that industry. But I'm telling you, it will help differentiate you against other candidates. My fourth tip: continue to seek education. I've been kind of like sprinkling this throughout this video, but I am, strongly opinionated that continuing to educate yourself, continuing to sharpen your skills is absolutely paramount in the success of your career. I'm not saying you have to go get a 4-year degree or a 2-year master's or something like that, although that certainly does help. It gives you that added focus. But go get industry certs, attend webinars, talk to other people in the industry who do other types of work. For example, I have skills and understand and have worked in the offensive space, but that's not what I do professionally. It's not what I do as a hobby or anything like that. So having a sit down, occasionally I'll sit down and have a beer with a friend of mine who is a pen tester, and we'll talk about what's going on. So that is, there's varying degrees of getting education, if you will, but just staying sharp. You need to be humble in this industry. There is a ton of information, and I assure you, anyone watching this doesn't know everything in the industry. I don't know everything in the industry. Nobody knows everything in the industry. So it takes a village, okay? Trust me. This is getting back to that first part of going to cons and talking to people and social networking. And when I said that Twitter has a good Infosec community, I'm telling you, people will regularly lob up something on Twitter of a challenge they're having, or thoughts or ideas, or obviously there's grumbling, I can't believe this, but I'm telling you, it's a great community, and just continuing to improve yourself is no one's ever going to look at your resume at a job and be like, oh wow, they really pushed themselves here. I don't think that we're going to want this person with a lot of motivation and initiative, but that's not going to work at this organization. And if they did say that, chances are you don't want to work there, because that would be a ridiculous organization and culture to be part of. So I wouldn't stress that. So my fifth tip is to leverage your existing organization. Now, what do I mean by that? If you're currently employed and you're in a role that's not in the information security industry, which makes sense because that's why you're watching this video, but you work in IT, or you work on the help desk, or you work as a software developer, or whatever, you could even work in facilities doing HVAC type stuff, whatever it is. Obviously, you're interested in getting into information security. Most organizations are severely strapped when it comes to information security, meaning they don't have enough money, they don't have enough resources, people are just getting overwhelmed, but it is what it is. So any help from anyone outside the information security office is always greatly appreciated. So let's just use the obvious example that you work in IT. So if you work in IT, just start engaging with the information security office. Hey, do you guys have open meetings? Can I attend? I'm interested in learning more. Hey, I can make sure, if you want, the people within my department are patching regularly. Or hey, if you see something malicious on the network, feel free to contact me if it's in this department, because I'd be willing to tell you where that computer is, or what user that is, or I can help install firewall. I can help install endpoint agents on devices, or whatever it is. The point is getting engaged with the information security office at your current business, in whatever capacity that can manifest in, will give you the ability to get some experience with information security and actually see if it's something you want. B, it'll introduce you to the members of the information security office. So when an opportunity comes up on their team, say they got an Analyst 1 position opening, so they may think, hey, we got an opening coming up. What about Mary? She's been actively engaged. She seems interested. Could that work? And then you've already got yourself, kind of in the know. Again, this gets back to the same kind of thing I mentioned at the first item, is networking. You're networking, but you're doing it internally to your organization. You're adding value, you're demonstrating initiative and proactivity, and it's just going to help you out. So definitely take advantage of leveraging your own organization. Now, it can manifest in different ways, but I think you understand the point that I'm trying to convey of engaging and networking with your own organization. So those are my 5 tips for getting into the information security industry. I hope they've been helpful and can help you get a job in the upcoming year. There are a ton of unfilled positions, and we want qualified people who are really interested in working in the field to come join us. If you liked this video, hit the subscribe button below, because as I put out more content, you'll be made aware of it, and give the video a thumbs up if you actually found it useful. I would really appreciate that. And really more importantly, comment below on tips that you may have on getting a job in information security, or challenges that you're experiencing in not getting a job in information security, because I'd love to respond to those and help you get a job in the field sooner than later. Thanks, and until next time, stay secure.